Jonas Finch hated working late, but deadlines left him no choice. By the time he locked up the small marketing office in Midtown, the city's neon glow tinted the sidewalks silver. Sleep-deprived and hungry, he hoped to catch the subway home as quickly as possible. His shabby apartment in Queens felt a world away. Stepping into the Times Square station around midnight, Jonas followed the usual routine. Descend to the platform, wait for the local train. A handful of other weary commuters stood around, eyeing phones or nodding off. The train soon rattled in, doors sliding open with a tired hiss. Jonas found a corner seat, hugging his laptop bag. He closed his eyes, lulled by the subway's rhythmic clatter. The speaker crackled an announcement about service changes, but his fatigue drowned it out. He only half heard the conductor's voice listing upcoming stops. He recognized them all, until the last name uttered, "Next stop, Candlewood Station." Jonas's brow furrowed. Candlewood? He'd never heard of such a station in the city. He shrugged it off, maybe a new station or a special service route. He dozed lightly, letting the train's lullaby carry him. A jolt stirred him awake. The train squealed to a stop, the overhead lights dimming. The conductor's monotone voice echoed, "Candlewood Station." The doors slid open. Jonas blinked. The fluorescent strips on the platform flickered in a stuttering rhythm, casting the worn tiles in sickly yellow. The sign above the door read, "Candlewood," scrawled in a typeface he didn't recognize, letters oddly elongated. He noticed only one other passenger in his car, an older man reading a battered newspaper. The man shot Jonas a strange look before returning to his reading. Jonas realized he was the only person who seemed puzzled by the stop. Usually at any station in Manhattan, some bustling occurs, riders hopping on or off. But here, the platform was deserted. No footsteps, no voices. Jonas peered out the window, unsettled. Impulsively, he rose. He felt an odd compulsion to step onto the platform, as if investigating an unknown corner of the city. The door beeped, reminding him it would close soon. He hesitated, then found himself stepping over the threshold. The air felt slightly colder on the platform, a stale odor like old tunnels left too long unventilated. He glanced around, expecting to see MTA signage or the typical mosaic. Instead, only flickering overhead lights and blank cement walls. No benches, no route maps, no vending machines. He turned back toward the train, deciding this was a mistake. But the doors hissed shut, and with a rumble, the train sped away into darkness, leaving him alone in Candlewood Station. Jonas's first reaction was irritation. How would he catch the next train or find an exit? This place looked half-finished or abandoned. Odd, since the platform structure seemed old, not newly built. He walked along the edge, searching for a sign, or at least a posted map. Nothing. The walls were bare, aside from grime and flickering lights overhead. He fished out his phone. 0 bars of signal. That was unusual, but not impossible underground. He tried accessing a subway map app. No data. With a groan, he stuffed the phone away. He took a few steps in either direction. The platform stretched farther than normal, merging into shadow. Candlewood Station lacked the standard bright adverts or mosaic pillars. The tiles underfoot were chipped and mismatched, forming strange geometric patterns. At the far end, a corridor opened, leading deeper underground. Maybe that was the exit. Jonas marched that way, determined to find some stairs. He told himself this was just an obscure maintenance station. Sooner or later, a train would stop, or he'd find a connecting walkway. But the corridor led him to another dimly lit area with multiple branching tunnels. Each one looked equally bleak, each lined with flickering bulbs. Anxiety tightened in his chest. This wasn't normal. The MTA rarely allowed random tunnels off public platforms. He tried to recall the official MTA list of stations. There's no Candlewood. He'd studied enough maps to be sure. So what was he standing in? A hush pervaded the station, a silence so profound it made Jonas's ears ring. Occasionally, he heard a dripping sound far off, or the faint hum of electricity. The overhead lights flickered in that maddening staccato, making the shadows dance. He turned, scanning for any sign reading exit. Nothing. No turnstiles or token booths. No adverts on the walls. Just that chilling emptiness. Then, faintly, he picked up a noise. A subtle, low rumble, reminiscent of a distant train. Hope flared. Maybe another train approached. He rushed back to the main platform edge, peering down the tunnel. If a train arrived, he could get back on, or at least wave it down. But the rumble faded, dissolving into silence. No headlights glowed in the dark. No rails rattling. No sign of an oncoming subway car. Jonas frowned. Was it just his mind playing tricks? After waiting fruitlessly for a while, Jonas decided to explore again. He walked the length of the platform, noticing how the tiles continued in both directions beyond normal station bounds. It was as if the station wasn't designed with typical endpoints. No cinder block walls, no end of the line. The corridor just kept going, receding into gloom. His footsteps echoed with a hollow ring. The idea that he might be alone down here crept into his thoughts. He reminded himself that subways have staff, maintenance workers. Surely I'll run into some. Everon. He tried to keep calm, but dread coiled in his gut. The fluorescent lights overhead cast elongated shadows of his own figure. He wiped sweat from his brow. Why was it so cold, yet so stuffy? Time blurred. Jonas wasn't sure if hours or minutes had passed. He found no signage indicating an exit or even the station's name. His heart pounded with each corner he turned, each corridor leading to another. The layout was labyrinthine, each new branch lined with the same flickering bulbs. At some point, Jonas heard the rumble again, but this time it resolved into something else. Footsteps. They mimicked the rhythmic chug of a subway approaching from the darkness. A chill prickled his scalp. No train whistles or squealing brakes, just the steady thump, thump, like heavy boots marching in unison. He pressed himself against the wall, breath caught in his throat. The footsteps grew louder, echoing ominously, but no figure appeared. It was as if multiple sets of feet pounded the floor just around the bend, yet no one emerged. His pulse raced. "Hello?" he called, voice trembling. The footsteps paused, as if listening. Then they resumed, receding into the distance. Jonas sagged against the wall, shaken. Was he hallucinating, or was something intangible walking these tunnels? Determined to remain logical, Jonas tracked his path, marking corners with a piece of chalk he found in his laptop bag's side pocket. But each time he looped around, corridors led him to new sections or merged with old ones in unexpected ways. His chalk marks sometimes vanished or appeared in places he was certain he hadn't visited. Eventually, he stumbled back to the main platform, or a platform, identical to the one he started on, right down to the flickering overhead. Candlewood Station, he muttered, scanning the walls. No sign indicated that name again, yet he sensed it was the same place. He collapsed on the platform edge, exhausted, concluding this might be some nightmare. The hunger in his stomach told him it was real. He cursed under his breath. Where were all the trains? As he rested, Jonas noticed small details. The flickering bulbs spelled subtle patterns when they stuttered. The mosaic of grime on the floor formed shapes reminiscent of letters or runes. The station's air smelled like an old basement, tinged with something sour. He tested the power outlets in the walls, dead. His phone battery trickled away, searching fruitlessly for a signal. The sense of isolation pressed heavily on him, as though the station existed outside normal time. He paced, trying to fight panic. If no train arrived soon, or if he couldn't find an exit, how would he survive? The station gave no clue. Jonas recalled newspaper stories of people vanishing in the subway system, rumored hidden tunnels. He never believed them. But now he was living a waking nightmare. The footsteps returned, nearer this time. Jonas braced himself, scanning the corridor for movement. Slowly, a shape emerged in the flickering gloom. A tall figure in a dark coat, head bowed. Jonas's heart lurched with relief at the prospect of another person. But as the figure drew closer, its steps made no splash of color or detail. The overhead light flickered, revealing the figure's face. Jonas's blood chilled. The face was featureless, like a blurred smear of static. The shape lifted its head, as if sensing Jonas's presence. He recoiled, every instinct screaming to run. The figure remained silent, motionless. Then, in the next flicker of light, it vanished, gone as if it never existed. Only the lingering echo of footsteps remained. Jonas's breath came in ragged gasps. "No," he whispered. "This can't be real." But reality offered no comfort here. The station's emptiness yawned around him. In desperation, Jonas marched back to the platform edge, waiting for any sign of the train. Time crawled. Each flicker from the lights felt like a heartbeat. He tried counting seconds, but disorientation set in. At one point, he heard a distant roar, like a train finally barreling down the tracks. He jumped to his feet, peering into the tunnel. He saw no headlights, but the roar intensified, accompanied by a gust of wind that tousled his hair. He leaned over the edge, half expecting a subway car to rush in. Instead, a gust of stale air rushed past, as if a massive train had stormed by invisible. The wind knocked him back onto the platform, his shirt flapping. Then, silence. No train, no sign of movement. Jonas slumped, tears pricking his eyes. He was alone, teased by illusions of arrivals that never materialized. Wandering the far platform again, Jonas noticed faint markings on the tile, words etched in a shaky hand. Dusting them off, he read, "There are no trains. Don't follow the footsteps. The lights lie. Find the unmarked door." His heart hammered. Someone else had been here, leaving cryptic warnings. No trains. That matched his experience. Don't follow the footsteps. He recalled the phantom steps that came and went. Find the unmarked door. He scanned the corridor, noticing many doors, all with signage. Electrical room, storage. He'd tried them. All locked. Unmarked door? Maybe that was a clue to an exit. He resolved to search thoroughly. With renewed purpose, Jonas ventured deeper into the branching tunnels. He passed identical corridors, storage rooms with rusted locks, a few maintenance hatches, none unmarked. The labyrinth seemed endless, his chalk marks unreliable. Time lost meaning. His stomach growled, throat parched. Anxiety gnawed at him. How would he find water, survive? A faint headache bloomed, but he pressed on. Some corridors flickered with a bluish tint instead of yellow. Others had partial benches or half-constructed mosaic patterns. Random piles of debris lined corners, twisted metal, old train schedules in archaic fonts. He glimpsed a sign reading City Hall Station from 1930, which made no sense. In one corridor, he discovered a battered vending machine with no brand or prices. The glass front was cracked, empty of snacks. Another dead end. Periodically, he heard footsteps echo behind him. He tried ignoring them, remembering the message scrawled on the tile. Once he glimpsed a group of silhouettes in the distance, each face blurred. They marched in a single file, footsteps mimicking the rumble of a train. Jonas pressed into a recessed alcove, praying they wouldn't sense him. As they passed, he felt a chill, as if the temperature dropped 10 degrees. The group vanished around a bend, leaving Jonas trembling. At times, he heard faint whispers, unintelligible. He'd spin around, flashlight beams slicing the darkness. No one was there, yet the whispers persisted, The station itself seemed alive, conjuring illusions or phantoms that prowled the tunnels. After what felt like hours, Jonas spotted an odd rectangle in the wall ahead. No handle or sign, just a faint outline. As he approached, he realized it was indeed a door, flush with the tile, no label. His heart leapt. This must be it. He pressed on it, feeling it give slightly. With effort, he wedged his fingers in the seam, prying it open. Hinges screeched, revealing a narrow stairwell leading downward, lit by the same flickering bulbs. He hesitated, a swirl of fear and hope. The note said to find the unmarked door. Maybe it was the exit, or a deeper trap. But with no other options, he descended. The stairs spiraled, walls damp. The temperature dropped further. The stairway wound for what felt like multiple floors. On each landing, a single bulb buzzed overhead. The environment shifted from tiled subway aesthetic to raw concrete, reminiscent of old utility shafts. Jonas's footsteps echoed hollowly, reminding him how alone he was. Now and then, he thought he heard scraping from above, as though something was following him. He quickened his pace. A rancid odor wafted up from below, but no fresh air. Finally, the stairway ended at a short hallway. Jonas shone his phone flashlight forward and glimpsed a rusted metal door. The presence of something final ahead made his heart pound. He prayed for an exit to the city's surface. He pushed the door open onto a large chamber, wide and vaulted like an abandoned subway concourse. In the center stood a single turnstile, old cast-iron design. Flickering lights overhead revealed more swirling mosaic patterns on the floor, reminiscent of stylized train tracks. Around the perimeter, doorways led to unlit spaces. Jonas stepped in cautiously. The air felt thick, oppressive. A sense of dread crawled up his spine. He approached the turnstile, noticing the word "exit" etched on the metal. Relief washed over him. This had to be the way out. He tried pushing through, but it didn't budge, like it was locked. Behind him, the footsteps returned, heavy, echoing, a chorus of unseen travelers. Jonas spun around, heart pounding. Shadows flickered among the columns. He saw partial silhouettes drifting closer, each face blurred. Their footsteps synchronized, producing that haunting chug, 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 reminiscent of a distant locomotive. Trapped, Jonas pressed at the turnstile again. No luck. The shadows advanced, forming a half circle around him. Through the flickering gloom, he sensed their eyeless gazes. A chorus of whispers blossomed, merging into something akin to station announcements. "No trains, no trains." The phrase reverberated among them. Another voice, "Candlewood Station." Then multiple voices in unison, "You're too late." Jonas fought panic, slamming his shoulder against the turnstile. It rattled. The shadows came nearer, arms lifting. A single shape reached out, its fingertips mere inches from Jonas's face. With a desperate cry, Jonas heaved forward. Something snapped in the turnstile mechanism, and he tumbled through, scraping his shoulder. He landed on the other side, momentarily free. The shadows hissed as if in frustration, crowding at the turnstile barrier. Jonas scrambled upright. Ahead, he saw a short tunnel labeled "Exit." The sign's letters flickered in and out, but it was real enough. He sprinted down the tunnel, ignoring the rising whispers behind him. The tunnel sloped upward. He climbed, lungs burning, each step fueled by terror. At last, he reached another heavy door. He wrenched it open, stumbling through, and found himself in an ordinary side passage of a familiar Manhattan subway station. The sign overhead read, "Exit to Street." He nearly sobbed with relief. He dashed up the final flight of stairs, scanning for normal life. Indeed, he emerged onto a city sidewalk. Night had deepened, but neon signs glowed, cars swished by. The normal hum of New York greeted him. He collapsed on a bench near the station entrance, passers-by eyeing him warily. "Are you okay, buddy?" someone asked. Jonas just nodded weakly, tears in his eyes. He was free, though a part of him felt forever changed. Once his panic subsided, Jonas checked the station name behind him, 14th Street, Union Square. A standard MTA sign. He had no clue how far he traveled underground. Shaken, he caught a taxi home. In the following days, he combed through every official subway map, historical references, MTA records. No mention of Candlewood Station existed. He tried scouring online forums about weird subway experiences, only to find scattered rumors of phantom stations that appear and vanish. Candlewood's name occasionally surfaced in hushed anecdotes, but no solid proof. He debated telling his story publicly, but who'd believe him? He had no photos or recordings. His phone battery had died in those tunnels. The entire ordeal felt dreamlike, except for the bruises on his shoulder and the haunting memories. Weeks turned into months. Jonas avoided subways when possible, opting for buses or cabs. Yet he suffered nightmares of flickering lights and infinite platforms. In these dreams, the footsteps drew ever closer, the shadows reaching out. He'd jolt awake, certain he heard a distant rumble in the night, like a train that never arrived. Some nights, he caught himself scanning the MTA announcements for the slightest mention of Candlewood Station, half expecting it to reappear. A part of him feared that if he ever took the wrong train again, he might end up back there, trapped among silent corridors forever. No one around him fully understood. Friends dismissed the tale as a near robbery or mix-up. But Jonas knew the truth. Somewhere beneath New York City lay a station that defied reason, where no trains arrived, only illusions and footsteps echoing like phantom trains. A station that didn't exist on any map, whispering a promise of infinite tunnels. And if you ride the subway late at night, drifting off in your seat, you might hear the conductor announce a stop you've never heard of. Next stop, Candlewood Station. If you do, be warned. Don't step off the train. Because once those doors close behind you, all that awaits are flickering lights, branching corridors, and the hollow sound of